I need extra.
Hello? Okay, awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, this is the 9th annual Startup Boston Week. So thank you once again for meeting us this afternoon. Our mission with the conference is simple. It is to bring together the entire startup community across every industry, department, and funding stage. Startup Boston exists to connect, educate, and celebrate this ecosystem while serving as a trusted, unbiased guide to the best resources that can help you scale and start your startup. My name is Harish, and I'm going to be your host for the day. And before we dive in, I just want to shout a big thank you to Suffolk University for hosting us. They have very generously partnered with us for the last 3 years, and they have provided us with this space in kind because of their deep commitment to supporting Boston's startup community. So if you are interested in exploring entrepreneurship, Suffolk offers a variety of programs and opportunities, so be sure to stop by their table in the vendor hall right outside and learn how they can support your journey and how you might get involved in supporting the entrepreneurial students at Suffolk as well. So thank you once again for attending this session, and I'll pass it to Sal.
Hi, everyone. We've got the coveted post-lunch slot here today, so thank you very much for joining me. This presentation, what you're seeing here in the room, I think that it'll be shown online as well. So if you're online, we're going to do our best to keep you in sync with us, but there are some demos in the middle of this presentation where I might be doing things. I'll do my best to describe to the folks online what it is that we're doing, but you'll have to check out the recording later if you're really that interested. As we start off, I guess maybe first question, how many people here consider themselves like expert level with AI and LM? ChatGPT, yeah, sure. Show of hands. Okay, we got one person who considers themselves an expert. That's good. How many people consider themselves like intermediates? Like, okay, good set of hands. And then how many people consider themselves beginners or novices with AI? Okay, great. Okay, so it's a mix. So this presentation is really for beginners. I think the intermediates will get something out of it. If you're an expert in AI, you're probably not going to get a super lot out of this presentation. Maybe some entertainment and some laughs, but that's about it. So we're going to cover in 45 minutes some actionable strategies and some thoughts I have around AI. We're going to be covering some interactive learning. So what I will do is I'll just pull up some LLMs and chat interfaces, and we'll try some stuff out and see how it goes. And hopefully you'll understand how AI can help accelerate your startup company. And lastly, the slides contain a fair number of AI resources, many of them free, that you can use to play around and accelerate your startup. So a little bit about me. I'm the lead organizer for a group called AI Tinkers Boston. And what that is that it's a meetup group for people who are hands-on with AI. I've been doing this for about 2 years. We started off in Boston with a group of about 5 to 10 people, and I've grown that so it's a 100+ person meetup every single month now. And we've got over 1,500 people on that list, mostly developers or tinkers, lots of founders, people who are building with AI. And it's been an amazing journey. And so what I'm sharing is a lot that I've learned along the way. I'm also a mentor at C10 Labs, which is an AI-first accelerator venture studio located in Cambridge out of the CIC. C10 Labs helps accelerate many startups, AI-first startups. And so if you're interested in learning more about that and my involvement there, please ask me about that. Prior to those activities, I was a product manager. I worked at companies like Pearson Education, General Assembly, mostly in the ed tech space. And I've also worked not just as a product manager, but also as a technology strategy consultant as well. So that's my deep background. I've been, as a technology strategy consultant, I've done a lot of computer like software, and as part of my software experience, there's always been this thread of AI and new computing. And so to me, AI is really just like the next iteration of computing, and we've leveled up. And that's what my interest is. I'm a technology guy. Lastly, you'll see in this slide deck lots of references to water and sailing, and that's because I'm a sailor. I'm also the treasurer at Squantum Yacht Club, and so you're going to see this presentation infused with my love for sailing. Are there any other sailors here in the audience? Oh, excellent. Awesome. We'll have to talk about that later. So, yeah, I love sailing and I love racing sailing. So. Lastly, I have to use this time since I have it. I'm also available as a fractional product leader. So if anybody's looking for help with their product, building out AI features, let me know. So why is AI changing things? So I guess maybe the point I want to make here is that cloud computing really disrupted everything. And if you're building a startup company, cloud computing, especially if you're building a B2B SaaS company, really accelerated your time to market from years to months, maybe sometimes even weeks. And what we're seeing now is a similar sort of disruption with AI, which is that now you can very conceivably build a B2B SaaS company in a matter of weeks or days, very, very quickly. And what's happening is that all the research, background information, everything is happening at lightning speed, and AI is fueling it. I spoke a little bit about how I was a technology strategy consultant. As a consultant, I would go around between industries, between clients. Between clients. I got to keep my hands to myself. Between clients, and you would go, from maybe a banking company, like somebody who's doing like a big bank, to somebody who's in e-commerce or other, and you'd have to pick up the lingo very quickly. AI is one of those things which, as a consultant, it helps me to understand an industry very, very quickly. And as a real example, right now, I'm doing a several-month engagement with a clinical trial software company. And what experience did I have in clinical trials before I got there? Very little, almost none. Am I able to be effective? I believe I am, because I've got AI helping me out, showing me the ropes, explaining how the industry works. And I will show some of that in my demo. So in this new era, AI is really helping to level the playing field. What you're seeing is that you're seeing a lot of companies, startup companies now, with single-digit employees making billions of dollars, right? And that's just the new norm. It's opening it up to people who are not technologists. So I don't consider myself a coder, but now with the power of Cursor and other things, I can actually get in and build very simple scripts and to start developing. And it's not maybe the quality of somebody who's been trained in it, but it's enough to get by and for me to be more useful. And lastly, people are able to do things with bootstrap budgets. So before, if you wanted to go in and research an industry, you could conceivably spend days, pay a consulting firm to come in and spend thousands of dollars doing that research. Now you can do that research very, very quickly and cheaply. And so what we're going to go through in the next part of this presentation is some examples, but I'm going to go through this workflow with brainstorming an idea, one that I've been kind of mulling over, And we can talk about how to build out marketing content, demonstrate building out a landing page, and do some rapid validation of the idea. Any questions before I start here? If you have laptops and you want to follow along too, or try your own things, you're welcome to get those out and to do that. So, all right. So the first thing I'm going to show is brainstorming some business names for a concept. The concept I'm picking today is the idea of a nautical themed social club. So I mentioned I'm the treasurer at Quantum Yacht Club. Really enjoy that gig, and it has me thinking that with AI, a lot of people are going to have extra time for leisure, and people nowadays crave social interaction. You know, they want to be around other people, and what you've seen traditionally in terms of like maybe gathering places are declining, right? Like there's fewer and fewer churches. There's fewer and fewer educational opportunities. A lot of people are spending time indoors with their virtual reality headsets on. And so I really believe that people still crave human-to-human interaction, and that maybe that there's a niche there for a social club, and that there might be some revival of social clubs. And since I'm a sailor, I like nautical themes. But I don't want my social club to require a boat to be a member, so no boat needed. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch over here, and I'm going to switch into some LLMs. Let's see. All right, so how many of you are familiar with like a ChatGPT chat interface? Everybody, show of hands. Okay, so almost everybody. I'm just going to assume that you're familiar with these chat interfaces. So I'm just going to start with Claude, and you know, I can type in a prompt. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can just start from scratch and just type in a prompt saying, you know, actually, hopefully that's easier for you to see. Okay, generate some name ideas for a nautical themed social club. This club will not have water or actually let's prevent it. Will not require members to own a boat. It's landlocked in the Boston area. Okay, so this is one way you could just do a general prompt. And so here's some names it spits out. The Beacon Hill Yacht Club, which is cool if it was in Beacon Hill. The Captain's Table, Compass Rose Society. So it's funny, the last time I ran this, it had the Anchor Club as a reference. And so I actually really liked that. I was like, okay, the Anchor Club. And so I've been calling that, but the Anchor and Chain is kind of interesting. Anybody have a preference? Somebody want to yell something out?
Sidewalk sailors.
Scuttlebutt. All right, Scuttlebutt Society. All right, that's the winner. All right, Scuttlebutt Society is the winner. Now, that's one way to do it. Another way to do this is to actually generate a prompt. And so I've got like real prompts here that I've done that I've created. Actually, I'll make this bigger too so you can see this. Give me 1 second here. So you can see some prompts that are created. So I'm not like a prompt engineer, admittedly, but those prompts look a lot better. And so the way I created all the other prompts I'm going to use today is by asking the LLM itself to create the prompt. So, you know, and the way I do that is like to say, pretend you're a professional prompt engineer. You know, create a prompt I can use with any LLM for this purpose. I don't know, so something like that. I don't want to type in all the stuff I had done before. And so let's see what it says. So I'm using the LLM to generate its own prompt, right? And you can always use this type of, well, this took it really far, actually. So not only did it do the club, the naming, but it's also, it seems like it's got style guidelines and more that it's suggesting that I add. So what I'm doing is I'm using the LLM to feed itself. And what you can do is you could actually take this prompt now and even put it into Gemini and see what Gemini spits out. So now what I've done is, oh, okay, so Gemini's asking for more information, a little bit more information, geographic area. It's in downtown Boston. And I would say target demographic. Oh, it's asking for target demographic. So, okay, that's not something I know, but let's just say for right now, we're going to put in so I'm putting in target demographic of young professionals. All right. All right, so Gemini does this. So it'll tell you to evaluate, help it evaluate between two different choices. So what it's doing here is that it's giving me two responses and it's telling me to pick which one is better. And I'm really not going to read through both of these. But you could see that this actually does work. It's really you're having an interaction with it. Now, best practice, in my opinion, is to try to pick the best ones, the ones that seem most appealing to you, and then try to argue with it as well, right? To find weaknesses, and when you try to argue with it, maybe or to like provide more guidance, you get better results. So like I like something on the theme of scuttlebutt. Can you suggest more names with that theme? All right, so I'm just this is spitting out tons and tons of names, right? And so really, oh, there we go. Scuttlebutt Social, Scuttlebutt Society, Boston Butt. I don't think I'm going to pick that one. So this is, it can be quite fun brainstorming. Now, I will say that this does not match the quality as if you went to a professional naming expert or a marketing expert who is good with naming. And what this does is this helps you start, and it might trigger you. And since you're the founder, you might decide, well, this is the name that I want. But in all cases, you're doing the editing. You're there reading these responses, figuring out what's important to you. And secondly, like, an expert's going to be able to take you all the way there and probably pick out the best name. And this to me is like maybe the most valuable lesson of this entire presentation, which is that you are the human in the loop, and it's really your decision as a founder what you decide, and almost in all cases, in my opinion, the LLM can help you, but it's not always going to be 100% there. It's not the highest quality output, always. So your mileage may vary, and that's, I think, a basic idea of these predictive engines, which is it's predicting something based on everything that it's been trained on, and it's been trained on the entirety of the internet. So what you're getting is like usually fairly average to above average responses for whatever it is that you're trying to do, and it shouldn't be relied on solely. So any questions on this naming exercise and what you've seen? Okay.
So,
Yes.
I see you are trying a couple different ones, Gemini, Cloud. Which one you prefer, recommend?
Okay, so the question is, I see you're trying a couple of different LLMs, Gemini. Which one do I prefer? So they all, every LLM has its own kind of style, and I use different ones depending on what I'm trying to do, and they're, it's just like you kind of get to understand the strengths and weaknesses of each as you go along. My personal preference, I don't really actually have a personal preference. I use them kind of equally. I'll switch between, the ones I use less personally is a Copilot, Microsoft. I use it for work, but I find that like the responses never are like exactly what I need. And then the one that I don't use, and this is a personal preference, is I don't use Grok, mainly because I've seen some of the results and I don't need those types of results, so ever. Yes.
Do you know if it takes into consideration language, nuances in language / connotations?
Does it take into consideration nuance of language? Yes, usually. Usually there's, it has a fairly good understanding, and that's kind of a superpower of LLM, is to be able to categorize language and to understand sentiment and other ideas. Now, that being said, it's not perfect. Then again, it might miss things, like it might not, like for example, it responded with the Boston butt, right? Which obviously is pulling the word butt from scuttlebutt, but we know that there's multiple meanings of the word butt. So maybe if it was like a smoking club, it might be more appropriate. So, all right. Let's see. I'm going to go back to my presentation here, and we're going to skip to the next slide. I think we're doing pretty good on time here. So I guess, in addition, actually, in addition to like the naming of your club, it can also help you generate social media posts, like welcome emails, posts on Instagram, or event descriptions and others. This is really useful if you're just trying to create generic marketing language for any particular thing. This is, in my experience using, for AI Tinkers, I tend to rely on AI to generate the content, but also to review a lot of the content that I build. So I'm just going to go back to Claude here, which I found in the past to be pretty reliable in creating, so I'm going to say, my prompt here is going to be generate 10 to 12 ideas for theme nights at this social club. And so it's going to generate some ideas here. So a pirate and privateer night, lighthouse keepers gathering, sailors knot, workshop and social, interesting. Boston Tea Party redux. So it goes on and on. Maritime movie marathon, I would love that. And especially like seeing The Perfect Storm on at the club would be fun. Could also screen Jaws. So this helps you create the ideas, but like you could say pull it forward and be like, I want to create a let's see, Instagram posting for the Maritime Movie Marathon. I'm a big fan of Jaws. Generate some ideas. All right. So I'm just going to say generate some ideas for this post. Classic and suspenseful. Maritime movie marathon, Jaws. We're going to need a bigger venue. That's pretty good, right? So good thing, it says join us for the ultimate shark thriller that made everyone afraid of the water. Good thing we're landlocked. Featuring sailors, grog, fish and chips. So this gives a lot, and you can obviously adjust this, but it even gives you the hashtags. So, maybe with a flyer for the night, it would be a really good Instagram post. So any questions on like, like how you can use this and how it can just like generate volumes of content that's of mediocre to above average quality? All right, yeah.
Maybe if you could explain more on like creating, explain more on creating context before you do the prompt, like feeding context to the AI for whatever you're doing.
Yeah, okay, so there's a good question is how do you feed it context before I actually enter in the prompt? So that's a great question. So almost all of these LLMs will, especially ChatGPT and Gemini, they have a whole history of chats. This is not a paid Claude subscription, but Claude will also keep a history of chats. So one thing I like to do is that if I'm working on a project, then I'll try to feed it all of, I'll try to keep it all within the same chat prompt, right? So so in this case, like I've already started this, I've already given it the name. I didn't have to go back and re-enter in all the name and all the information. In this case, with the movie marathon, I could have, if I already had the flyer, I could have put that context in with, okay, here's the flyer. And it can read information off of the flyer. So if it's in a PDF format, these LLMs are very good at scanning through it, taking the words that are on there, OCRing it, understanding it. So like if I had a name and a date in there, it could have pulled that context out. And so you can like build up a whole like corpus of knowledge within that chat. And a lot of these LLMs will get to know you over time, so they know more about you and your style, and they'll learn from what you ask. So if I had asked it to generate something simple and clean, then it's going to start giving me simple and clean answers. It'll try to modify that. So does that answer your question? Okay. So you saw like one of the first thing I did though was to like generate ideas, and this is something that these LLMs do really well as well. So like depending on what your business is, you can ask it to generate ideas for your business. And even beyond that, you can ask it to do your research for you, right? So one of the, Gemini had asked like, what is your target audience? And so I can go into Gemini and say, I'd like for you to suggest target audiences for this type of social club. Now, this is very simple, but I'll give you a little bit more specific too. You could say the club is in downtown Boston. Please use the demographics of the city in your response. So let's see what it comes up with. So it's saying based on the demographics, so I guessed right. So basically young professionals 20 to 40 in tech, finance, and law. How many of you people in this audience are tech professionals? Oh, I'm sorry, young professionals, tech, finance, and law. I'm just curious. All right, so not that many. Okay. Secondary audience, relocated professionals, and new Boston residents. High influx of transplants for work. So how many people are transplants here, new to Boston? Like let's say you moved here within the last 3 years. Yeah, so a fair number, a small number. Creatives and entrepreneurs. Okay, how many people here are creative or an entrepreneur? Okay, that's our audience here. Perfect. Okay, so and it goes on. So, all right, so this is Gemini, and you can ask it to do your research for you. Gemini also has a tool called Deep Research, and this is really like it's more limited if you don't have a paid plan. Right now, I don't have a paid plan, but I can ask it like I'm going to actually see if I have a pre-built prompt for this. Okay, I'm gonna use a pre-built prompt that I have here, and I don't have the exact one I want, but this is AI market positioning strategies, and what it's going to do is I'm going to ask it to act as a senior marketing strategist with expertise in luxury and lifestyle brands, and your task is to develop 3 distinct actionable market positioning strategies for a new nautical themed social club. So, and I'm just going to use deep research and hit go. So this usually takes, deep research will go back and what this is that it'll go use its core of knowledge, it'll use the internet, it'll do a lot of searching, and it'll take its time and present a more thoughtful response. And usually it'll give you all of the sources that it used. Okay, so now this is telling me what it's going to do, and it's going to be ready in a few minutes. So I'm just going to let it go, and then we can come back to this while it's building its research. So in this case, it's also like it has the ability so that you can see the thinking, and it'll list out the sites that it's browsing. So any questions while I am running this? Yeah.
So,
Oh, hey.
which products do you pay for in the AI space?
So I've switched. I used to pay for ChatGPT. Right now, I'm paying for Cursor, and there was some work stuff I was doing, so I switched my subscription to Copilot for the moment. But I'll pay for things as I need them. So I think you could try all these LLMs out, figure out which one feels the most comfortable to you, and to go with that. A lot of the AI tinkerers are doing, and I know you're a part of AI tinkerers, so you know this, but a lot of the quote from AI tinkerers last month was that if you're only paying Anthropic $200 a month for Claude, you're not paying them enough. Like you really need to be so the preference right now, at least with people who are developers or hands-on with AI, is using Claude and Claude Code. That's what's current right now. But that being said, there's many good LLMs, and there's these things I think are like still fashionable, like run on fashion right now a little bit.
So primarily for coding then.
Yeah, well, for Claude Code right now is I think like winning for coding for at the moment. But like a month ago that was Rue Code, and the month before that it was Copilot. So things are changing very quickly. And like this is very focused on American, like our environment here. But if you look at, I have a subscription to Replicate as well, where I sometimes run models. So Replicate is a place where is an organization which allows you access to many different models. And I know that Replicate also has a number of China-based models like DeepSeek and others. And those I've heard, I haven't really done a lot of work with them, but I've heard that especially Quen, I've heard is like extremely good as well. So,
Thanks.
yeah. Yes.
You can also use openrouter.ai,
Yep.
and you pay just for the token that you use, and you have access to all the models. You just pay $1 and use the one query that you want to have.
Yes, so the comment from the crowd was that you can use openrouter.ai as well, and you can pay as you go. I found that to be the case with Replicate as well. But I would say definitely more on the advanced side. So for anybody joining us late, like this talk is really aimed at folks who are beginner to intermediates. So I'm going to go back to Gemini here to see if it's done yet. It's still thinking. So I'm just going to let it go. We're going to move on in the interest of time here. And so the next thing I want to show is a demo of Lovable. How many people here are familiar with Lovable? Excellent. So there's a lot of people who use it. Great. That's fantastic. But so I won't spend too much time on this, but I have created a prompt for a splash page for this site. Now, the benefit of doing this is that, so Lovable is a well, maybe I should back up here. So Lovable is a site which will help you to imagine as a website basically anything. So any business idea. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to enter in my prompt here. And this prompt says, create a website, essentially, a landing page, a splash page for this site. And I'm just going to add to this prompt here that we're calling this, the name of this is Scuttlebutt Social. I think that's what we just tried, right? Scuttlebutt Social? Yeah, right, so let's do that. And I'm going to set Lovable to go. And hopefully by now, Gemini's deep research it's still going. So, and this is the thing with live demos, sometimes things don't work out. Yeah, yeah, yes.
Paid version of ChatGPT, and once I was trying the deep research, asked for 100 neuromuscular CROs. It kept adding, like, I'm doing this deep research, that deep research. Took several hours and didn't return me the list of those companies.
Yes. Okay. So for those of you who are online, the comment from the crowd was that once I was using ChatGPT and I asked it to do some deep research, and it sounds like it went through like a rabbit hole, and it just kept doing deep research on multiple projects. So I might actually, because I've never had it take this long before, especially for a prompt like that, I'm gonna see what I can do here. It's still going. Okay, so I don't know if there's a way to, does this have any report here? No. All right. So Lovable is also going. So we're switching back to Lovable. Let's see what they're doing. It's connecting a Supabase for as a backend. Let's see. Spinning up a preview. That's what it's doing. And Lovable here is like telling you all the files that it's on the left-hand side here, all the files that it's editing and creating. So back to Gemini. So let's see. This is when I was playing around with this idea earlier, I've got some history here. So I want to say that at some point I'd actually asked it to create a list of AI tools and categories. And this was a deep research project I did, and I'll show you the prompt. The prompt here was, I want to create a list of AI tools by category. You can draw from the list in this presentation, and I had fed it a previous presentation that one of my coworkers had given to me. And thank you, Wafa. I have to give that shout out. So thank you very much for your list. What it did is it created, using that list as a starting point, it created a categorization and created an entire list of resources. And that's going to be available in this in the presentation that I provide to everybody. So you can see the output is usually like very thorough and very, very thoughtful. I am going to go back to this and see if it. Yeah, okay, here we go. All right, so it's done. No, I'm sorry, I spoke too soon. This is the previous prompt I had. Let's do this one. Okay, so this is done, yes. Okay, excellent. Thank you all for bearing with me here and your patience. But marketing positioning strategies for an exclusive nautical social club. The sanctuary of sail, a strategy rooted in heritage, tradition, and the principle of quiet luxury. Okay, so it goes through and it gives you like the marketing of what this is, strategic positioning concepts. And here's 3 of them right there. The first one being the sanctuary of sail, with like a target audience, a mature professional, 45 to 65, who's achieved success. So I fit part of that. I am definitely 45 to 65. So value proposition, key messaging, and taglines. So the other thing that this could help you do, so I'm going to go back here to the website here that we're creating through using Lovable is, here we go. You've got like a working website for Scuttlebutt Social. So this is all it did though, I think. It's not letting me click through it. All right, so this one obviously needs a little bit more like work because it didn't give like for whatever reason, it didn't give me all that much. And I'm gonna go back to my dashboard, and because I expected there to be some variability in the way that this works, I'm gonna show, so another prompt that I had run previously. So a similar prompt, but maybe even smaller. So it says, I need to create a website for a social club called the Anchor Club. There's no water nearby, but it's a nautical theme. Please make a compelling landing page. And bonus if you can work in the idea of pirates and tiki drinks. And what it did was it created a fairly interesting website. Welcome to the Anchor Club, where maritime tradition meets tropical adventure. It's got maritime heritage, tiki paradise, and then it's pretty cool because it's working in some like tiki drinks, and it actually created some of the tiki drinks. I think that these were made up, the Captain's Treasure and a Tiki Firestorm, and then you can interact with it and ask it to add other drinks or remove them. So like, can you modify the dark and stormy to include mint leaves? I don't know why you'd want to do that, but let's just do that. Oh,
A story instead of a stormy.
all right. Well, this is what you get with a live demo. Like, hopefully you will have more luck with these than I am having at this moment. So any questions on what that, yeah, go ahead.
So, thank you. So really quickly, if it kicks out data, whether or not it's a website or you're just asking for research, and it gives you something wrong, can you say, please note this is not correct and adjust?
Oh, yeah, you can definitely do that. And it'll often say, you're absolutely correct, this is not right, and it'll look at it and fix it. And this is going back to the earlier point that I made, which is like you are the human in the loop and you're there to check all this, right? So it's not foolproof. And just to like use the sailing metaphor, like when you're sailing, you're off the wind usually. If the wind's directly in your face, you can't sail in that direction, right? So you can't expect this to take you directly at your objective. It's like, you're going to be a little bit away from the mark either side, and you have to kind of.
Again, if you ask the same question. I guess that's.
If you ask the same question again, will it adjust? Sometimes, yes, it'll do it correctly.
You just have to keep giving it new parameters.
Yeah.
It could hallucinate on one.
Yeah, it can hallucinate, right? It can hallucinate, and it can sometimes even stick up for itself. Yes.
Follow up to that, if you say, it gets back to you with something wrong, and you say, please correct yourself, and then you go, that's ChatGPT, and then you go to Claude, ask the same question, is it going to have a corrected come back to you, or is it going to also have an error potentially? Like, I'm wondering if these LLMs communicate with each other.
No, they do not. The LLMs do not communicate with each other.
Okay, so you could get the
yeah,
same
no, they're
error.
all distinct models. They're all like kind of self-contained, so they don't talk to each other. And often, so you see me move between multiple LLMs here in my presentation. It's good. I think it's a great idea to try the same prompt with two different LLMs and see what the difference is in responses. And especially if you're deciding like which one do I want to pay, $20 a month for, like, that's a good way to evaluate that and to run them through the paces and see which one tends to have better answers for you. Yes.
Hi, I have two questions regarding Lovable. The first question is, are you able to snag like the code that Lovable generated later to then use on your own?
Yes, and so I was gonna actually I didn't mention this, but like I believe you can, and like the way that I find Lovable the most useful is communicating ideas to other people, and so especially developers. And going back to some of the comments I made earlier, like none of these tools are a replacement for actual humans doing the work. But if you're a startup founder and you don't have a lot of resources, then these are a great way to accelerate you and get you going. Yes, Lovable will provide, you can grab the code off of Lovable and use that.
And then in terms of implementing your data structure, like is that part of the prompting you do? So
Yeah,
that you can-
Lovable also will create, has a backend database, Supabase, that it uses, and you can generate fully working websites using Lovable and using prompting,
Thank you.
including a backend. Yes, question.
I want to ask, like, let's say, for example, you already have like something in Figma that you've already done by yourself, but now you're not a technical expert on code. Is there a way you can feed your like Figma designs into Lovable and then it generates them?
I'll be honest, I actually haven't used Figma to design something and then put it into Lovable, but I believe that it does accommodate for that. Does anybody here want to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, actually, like I'm very sure that it does. They might even have a connector to Figma.
Thanks for the opportunity. That's a great presentation. Until now, we got like a lot of software versus like content questions, but let me be hard on you, right? Can we create? I mean, do we have some tools or like some AI models that can generate like the physical products? Like let's say a 3D models for like a given product. Let's say if I have to create some, let's say a comb or like a
Yeah.
situation, how we can do that?
So this is not a place where I have a lot of expertise, but I believe the answer is yes. I just don't know what those services are, and I haven't really focused any of the resources in my presentation towards that. But so let me answer restate the question just for the people who are virtual, which is are there services out there that can generate a 3D product? Like a comb. And I believe the answer is yes. Like that now we're getting to the point where you can ask AI to generate the objects, but
Yeah.
I don't actually know that answer for sure. And if there isn't, that is a great startup idea.
Because like, I mean, I thought it's better to pay them like, pay the AI more money rather than a human to create these engineering models, let's say some rocket engines or like engines for cars, because they can do a lot of iterations within a given limited span of time rather than a human decide. I mean, I'm not like against
So
humanity, but
are you a founder that has a company that creates 3D?
no, I mean, like we are trying to create something that's a revolutionary product, but we are in a crossroads of like, it's better to go with humans or like better to go with AI or both.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's
So, I think it's a very valuable space to be in, and I'm excited to see it. But I do think that all of the same parameters that I've been talking about, which is that you really need to double check what's being built, is important. So like in the example of a comb, like it's probably not super problematic if you have like one of the tines of a comb out of place. But like, let's say you're building a climbing harness for somebody and you're spitting out like a piece, like you probably want that climbing harness to be looked at by a human being before and designed by a human being. Yes.
Could you please speak a little bit about the browser AI for research, like Perplexity, Comet, or Pro?
Yeah. So he's asking me to speak about browsers that have AI built into it. And I'll be honest, this is something that I don't have a lot of experience with. I've used Microsoft's Edge browser in the past with varying levels of success. But like AI, like for novices and intermediates, like browsers with AI built in it are excellent for like summarizing content, especially. Those are the types of types of activities that I would use it for. But I don't actually. I wish I could tell you more about those. I'm gonna switch here. I have a couple of really quick slides, then we can take questions. But basically, in terms of implementation strategy, start with free tiers wherever possible. If you're new to AI, see which ones work for you. You can, as a startup company, because you're usually cash limited, like take advantage of those free tiers as much as possible and hit the limits before you decide to upgrade. Do a gradual implementation. So like try to figure out one tool at a time. So like, if you're using Lovable, great, then use Lovable, but don't try to use like 3 or 4 different services like Lovable. And then measure and scale. The main thing is like try to figure out some sort of measurement metric, just so you have something in mind as you go forward. Because if you're not measuring it, then it doesn't really matter. Lastly, like over automation, like chaining too many things together and losing that human insight. I think I've spoken a lot about this, but like you really need to be your own editor and don't just rely on the AI to do everything for you. You definitely need to have remain the human in the loop. Losing the personal touch, like this nautical club is like, my idea, and I wanted to be called a specific thing, and I'm gonna, it has to have that because it reflects me, right? It reflects me, and if I just let the AI do everything, then it wouldn't be very human, and it'd be very robotic, and it would lose the human touch. And I already mentioned, you should definitely, don't fly blind, right? Figure out what you want to measure and measure it. Lastly, I will say, there's some essential tools that I use. I'm going to make this larger so everybody can read it. I use ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude mostly. Those are my preferences. I didn't show any image generation, but you can do image generation using Gemini. They just released a new model called Nano Banana, and that's right through Gemini's interface. Let's see. So I'm saying create an image that represents this column. I'm going to keep this concept. I don't know. And this is just the quickest prompt I could think of. But basically, you want to be able to prompt the LLM in a way to generate images that mean something to you. And I just use the simplest possible prompt, but you can see. So here is, it's pretty good, actually. This room, it could be this room. All right. Yeah, so everybody sees that image on screen, but basically it generated an image of a social club. There's some barrels there that people are drinking on, and a definite nautical theme. And it looks like it's in, it could be this view.
Question?
Yes, sir.
So that image you just generated, does Gemini have any intellectual property rights on that?
Does Gemini have any sort of property?
Well, Gemini generated, right? With
Yeah,
your input.
Yeah, I'm not an IP lawyer. I couldn't tell you. I don't think it does. I don't think you have to credit Gemini for usage of that image.
Interesting.
But I'm not an IP lawyer, so
Yeah, I just have to wonder out loud about the ramifications of that if you go commercial with something like that.
Yeah. Does anybody in the room know the answer to this question? Is anybody an IP lawyer that knows whether or not Google owns the rights to this? There's somebody raising their hand. We are in
I'm
a law
not an
school, that's
IP lawyer, but I also have experience in content. And so if you see anything that's AI generated on TikTok, it needs to have a label that says AI generated. So that's just like a disclaimer. I'm guessing that should be the norm.
All right, so the answer from the crowd, for those listening from home, the answer from the crowd is that, from not a lawyer, says that anything that's AI generated has to have a label saying that it's AI generated, especially for TikTok.
So you have to basically have to credit it.
Yeah, so for social media, that's clearly like, I am also not like an expert on TikTok or social media, so, yes, sir.
I had a question back on I think it was slide 10. I think one of your third points there was measure and scale. I'm curious to know how you are like measuring. Do you have any sort of quantitative ways that you're measuring performance of different tools that you're using, or how do you do that?
Yeah. So the question is, how do you measure and scale? And I'm gonna maybe give this. Like answer that question with like an example. So I'm working with a company right now, and they're making use of AI to go through vast numbers of PDF documents and to understand what they are and to generate some meaning and context for them. And what it does is it saves them a lot of time in people time of reviewing this very, very large number of documents that are international and in many different languages, et cetera. And so it's taking unstructured data and then converting it into structured data. But the flip side of that is that they need to make sure that it's worth their while. So like they need to quantify how much time are they actually spending on it now, and how much time is it actually saving them. And then, the other thing you have to think about is what is the cost of that, right? So using these language models, like the inexpensive free tiers are usually less capable models, and so they're cheap. But if you're using a more capable model, then like the price for using those models goes up. So now you've got, on the flip side, a cost associated. At the end of the day, it doesn't make any sense to do this type of AI if the cost of doing it is the same as what your cost savings are, right? So that's, trying to quantify like what it is that you're measuring, like what is the hours in that case that you're trying to save versus like how much is it costing you? It's important. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was curious if you had any specific ways that you're measuring performance of different AI tools versus others.
So now the question is like the ways of measuring the performance of different AI tools. So like for most people, I think in this room, and the beginner and novice, like these are like we're suggesting you use these free tools to help you accelerate on your path to researching and understanding what startup you're building and going to market. So I think that these are free tools, and if you can't afford to pay a graphic designer to come up with graphics, or then these are a good way to, as a substitute for not having the ability to pay for services.
Thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, okay, I'm back with a question.
Yeah.
I'm Maddie, and we're actually productizing a lot of what we went through today. So we're targeted for early stage founders and being like an AI advisor and start a roadmap for them. But my question is regarding prompts, because I see that's probably really important for the AI to understand. I'm wondering, for your experience, is it better to have broader prompts for kind of the AI to play around with, or more detailed prompts, so it's like more restrictive almost?
Yeah. The question is it better to have broad prompts or more detailed restrictive prompts? And my answer to that is like, it depends, and try both. Like it doesn't like really hurt you to try both. I earlier at the beginning of this session, I also showed that you can use the AI to develop a detailed prompt for you. And that is, I think, a good way to go because they know the AI itself, the LLM knows what makes a good prompt. And so having the LLM to refine your prompt for you is usually pretty helpful. But that being said, the Lovable example I used, I had a really terrible response, one that I didn't like, with the canned prompt I use, whereas the less canned prompt that I had, this one, which is just the simple 3 lines, was like actually very, very good and helpful. Because this prompt, this Lovable response actually had like drinks, and it had ideas for like different nights. It actually has a business model that it gave me, which is like, okay, well, there's different, like it's a tiered business model, which is, like it charges $75 a month or $125 a month or like $200 monthly for this social club, which is one way to think through the business model. And the other prompt actually created just a very specific landing page, which is not all that usable. Let me find it. So does that answer your question?
Yes.
Cool, where'd it go? I don't forget where it's on here, okay. Yeah, this was the other one. This is not super helpful, which is like, it's got a back end, you can request an invitation and to capture some stuff, but not as interesting as the other one. Yes?
So, I have a pretty interesting code base, right? So I'm pretty comfortable just generating pre-filled code from AI. Haven't tried much using it to refactor code or to create new code in a very particular style that your organization already has for particular reasons. Have you done that? I'm sure there's methodologies for doing that. Can you speak to that?
Okay, so just let me know if I got this right, but you're asking whether or not, like, can you use AI to generate code that's in the style that your organization requires?
Yeah, I'm asking
Yeah.
that, and also just generally bringing AI into the workflow without having to spend too much time telling AI, no, that's not how we want code to look.
Okay, right, yes. So he's asking about style of code and using AI. So this is like an advanced topic and not something I really covered in this presentation because I didn't really cover coding at all. And that's actually, I'm not a developer. So I just hack around on Cursor. So I'm a pretend developer. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to plug my meetup. So I run AI Tinkerers, which is people who are like hands-on with AI and developing at companies. And this is a topic that would be perfect for our meetup coming up on September 29th as part of Boston AI Week. So, yeah, because there's many answers to that question.
Thank
you. Yep. Yeah, Will.
Hi, they told me we're running out of time, so I figured I'd just stand up and first off, just give Sal a shout out because I'm actually a founder myself, Talent Labs. My name is Will. If you're a VC or a founder yourself, feel free to find me. But I just want to thank Sal in front of everybody for just the amazing impact he's had with the launch of our startup. Sal's helped with a website, helped with business development strategies, as well as, of course, technical concepts, obviously technical product engineering. And I highly recommend, while Sal does have a little bit of bandwidth, if you do need help any phase of launching your startup, I would try to get some of Sal's time. So can I kind of push a round of applause for Sal?
Thank you. That was unsolicited, but well, I'll send you a check. All right. Thank you, everyone, so much for attending. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to help. Do you want to close it out?
All set.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We have a lot more side events happening throughout the day as well. And this evening, we have the Massachusetts Climate Tech Studio Finale happening here. So you can check that out as well. And 3 Circle Studio is our official photographer. So you can grab a photo and then scan one of the barcodes out there to download your customized album. And we know that you want to mingle today, but then we request that you keep it outside this room. Even if your next session is right here, we ask that you step out so that we can reset the room for the next session. Thank you so much.